Getting ready to sell this thing. Just took it for a quick wash. Just gonna do a quick walk around. Man, I'm gonna miss this car. It is one good looking black car. We've had a lot of good trips in it. Just took a trip to Milwaukee in it. Stock exhaust, stock wheels, Continental Extreme tires. We'll get you another update when we get on the road. But it's been a fun little car. It's about to go. There's a gentleman that wants to buy it from North Carolina, so we're gonna drive this car to Memphis. Oh look, it's another E46 M3 video. So I'm about to sell this car. I've had it for about almost 3 years. Bought it in December of 2017. Bought it with approximately 120,000 miles. I put almost 22,000 miles on it. I'm driving it to meet the buyer of the car. I posted it on Craigslist about 5 days ago, and there's a gentleman flying in from North Carolina that wants to buy the car. So the car, I'm going to break down the cost of ownership for 3 years. That's what everybody talks about with these cars. I got into this car for that much. I got out of that car for that much. E46 M3, I always liked these cars when I was a little bit younger, and I always wanted to get into one, and I did. I bought it from a dealership in Chattanooga. It was a Nissan dealership. Went and bought it cash. The reason I bought it so quick, I actually saw the ad in the night before, and the day after we drove to Chattanooga to go pick this car, it was listed on sale. It was reduced price at $8,000. It was in about a 300 to 500 mile radius at that time, the cheapest E46 M3. That was after I wanted a 2005 or 2006 that I could get into for cheap, and it looked well kept. The tires were new, the Carfax was clean, and it was a dealer that was selling it, so I know they had reconditioned it a little bit, not a whole lot to do. It was a 2-owner car, and I'm trying to show you the tacho. This is one of my favorite dash layouts, and the instrument cluster here is one of my favorite things to see on a car. And this right there, the Classic M, as you warm up the engine, it changes how high you can rev it. It is one of my favorites. And so yeah, I got an SMG car because it was cheaper. It's simply, manual cars were trading around with a similar mileage, in decent, same color combination. It's black on black. They were trading for about, I would say about, at that time, for a convertible, around 16. And I got into this car at $8,000. I saw it listed for $8,000. Drove down in our other car to Chattanooga and paid the dealer cash, which is another story, because the dealer freaked out. I feel like they never had a cash transaction before. It was a Nissan dealership in Chattanooga, and it was one of the worst experiences I've had of purchasing a car cash, because I feel like they'd never had taken that much cash before. But I didn't want to mess up because I thought this was the deal of a lifetime. I was getting to drive an E46 M3 for $8,000. I got the car out of there, drove back to Nashville, enjoyed the car for the weekend, then brought it home. We've had the car now for 3 years. So the cost of ownership for 3 years, that's what everybody wants to know. That's what everybody wants to talk about. Oh my God, it's an older car. It's always going to mess up on you. It's a BMW. Parts are expensive. The maintenance is expensive. Nobody can work on these cars. And that's just not the case. So when I bought the car, there were a couple of things that needed to be addressed. One was the coolant reservoir. It was leaking, small leak on it. I noticed it in the engine bay, so I went ahead and got one from FCP Euro, and it was only $130. And I changed it out myself. It was not hard to do whatsoever. There was literally 2 bolts and 1 clip. And of course, I'm gonna write this all down underneath so the math makes sense to you guys. Then also there's a plastic cover that goes underneath these windshield wipers. That's in the front. It's a cowl. It was weathered away and it was tearing in a couple of places. At that time, it was a 12 to 13-year-old car. So I went ahead and got that from FCP Euro as well, and that was only that part was only $175, and I installed it again myself. Had to take the windshield wipers off. It took me an hour, but it was not a hard job. I'm not a mechanic by any means, and I was able to get it done. Then we drove the car without any problems for about a year, and I knew this car had over 100,000 miles. And through the Carfax, I knew the cooling system overhaul had not been done. So I went through, actually, I think I bought this whole set from ECS Tuning. It was around 1,070. It was all the cooling system that would include the radiator, the water pump, the thermostat, the coolant sensor, coolant itself, and all the hoses. It was $1,070 for the for all those parts and fluids, and then I paid actually my local indie shop. They charged me $400 to go ahead and do that whole overhaul. So it was not a bad job. I think it was only 4 hours of labor for them in order to do it. They even changed out it was in that whole kit was even the fan and a new fan for the radiator and the clutch, and that was on that part. At the same time, around the 2-year mark of ownership, the rear diff started making a noise, and I tried to change the oil myself, cost of about $100. I got oil from FCP Euro, and it was OEM oil, but there was a lot of metal shavings in there, and even when I did change the oil, it was still making a noise. The car was still running properly, but it was making a loud grinding noise coming from the back. So I took it to my local indie, and he was like, we need a new diff. So I got a new diff out of it, and got that placed, and the diff itself ended up costing me $1,400, and then the fluid and the install, he charged me about $500. So it was all in all about after taxes and everything, $1,900 job. So that was that. And then my window regulator on the passenger rear window here went off, and I had to pay $175 for the part from I actually got the part from ECS, and I paid there's a local body shop, and they did an amazing job, cleaned even the car for me, and it only cost, the labor on it was only $150 to get that window regulator changed out. By the way, I hate changing out window regulators. That's why I use them. I've done it before, and it's not a job that I like to do, to open the door panel and get access and do all that. And then last but not least, I did, no, 2 more things. I did only one mod, and that's, sorry, the car's a little dirty right now. I changed out I put this whole Navi system. It's old. Nobody listens to CDs anymore. FM radio is fine, but I ended up installing an auxiliary cable, and I did that myself, and that was about $110 part from BMW OEM that I changed out. And the last thing that this car's cost to me was I had to do the SMG relay. The gear icon in the corner came on, and I had to change that out, and it was $36. And those were the only things that were not routine maintenance that I had to address. Then there was routine maintenance in the form of I needed 2 new rear tires. I ran through the tires pretty quick. They were about 7/8 when I got the car, and they were Continental Extremes. So I went ahead and got 2 new tires for the back, and that was $560. And then also did 4 oil changes the time that I've had the car, and I used Mobil 1, and I got OEM filters from FCP Euro, and then I had local indie shop. They only charged me $20 for the oil change. So all in all, oil change, it was about $80 times 4, so that's $320 for oil changes. Didn't have to do the brakes. They were in great shape when I got the car, and they still are. Didn't have to really change any of the other fluids. The coolant was done when we did the overhaul. So all in all, the car cost me roughly around between $4,000 and $5,000. I'll add it up and post the amount below for 3 years. And guess what? I am just now selling the car after 3 years for exactly the same amount I paid for it. I bought it for $8,000, drove it for 3 years. Yes, the car cost me $5,000 over the course of the year, over the course of 3 years. So that comes down to less than, it's right around $100 a month that I got to enjoy a E46 M3 convertible, and it was a great car. And now it's going to go to a new owner who's going to enjoy the car a lot. He's really excited. He's really excited about picking up the car, and that's about it. So yeah, I enjoyed this car for less than $100 a month after 3 years. Bought it for $8,000, selling it for $8,000. I've already got another toy to play with. It's actually in front of me, and I'll show you more videos on that car soon, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching the video. Hope it helps. If you want to get into this car, or you have any questions, hit me up. I love talking about this car. Have a great day. Bye-bye.